You're listening to the Run the Riot Podcast, where we talk about all things ultra running. I'm your host, David Terrio, and man, I'm pumped that you are here. Let's see what we can get into today. All right, so today on the podcast, we got Isaac. What's going on, Isaac?
Oh, nothing much. Just living the dream.
Living the dream. Dude, I saw you, you got a pretty busy schedule lately, man. How was the snake run this past weekend?
Man, snake run was awesome. It was great. I mean, I think I've done that thing, I've lost count, maybe 4 or 5 times.
Nice.
Yeah. But this was the first time doing it, and it was the snake walk for me instead of the snake run.
Yeah. Nice. That's awesome.
That was the grand experiment. Was in the years past, I've done the running, mostly running the entire thing, and this time around I was like, you know what, with the whole back injury from past April, I've been doing a lot of walking since then, gotten into just walking at a lot faster pace, power walking, speed walking, whatever you want to call it. And I was like, I'm going to do an experiment here. I'm going to see what my time is like, what the experience is like walking the 3-hour snake run as opposed to running it. And it was really interesting. So
nice.
Yeah, that was cool.
Nice. No, that's all. So I've been in Oklahoma. I've been in this area like 7 years, and I still haven't done the snake run because it's on a Sunday, and I'm always, I'm involved at church and everything, and I've got, teach and stuff. And so I can never make it, and so I love Kathy. I love Turkey. I'm always out in that area in those parks. And I know they moved it from the Turkey Mountain area to, what park is it?
Is it, I don't know if it's Lubel or LaBelle.
Yeah,
whatever it is.
Whatever. I think it's LaBelle, I think is what it is. But yeah. And so heard nothing but good about it, and it looks fun, but just hadn't been able to get out there yet, man.
It is. It's a lot of fun. I mean, maybe you talk a minister to come out there and be like, okay, we got a little 5-minute sermon here. Yeah. So those of you that are churchgoers, you can still come out here and party and do the snake run and everything.
That's right. There you go. Yeah, that might be a good idea, man.
Yeah.
Well, so Isaac, so I've been watching you, man. You've been on social media. You're an encourager. I can tell. You're always posting like positive things. You're posting about the races you're doing, and you just kind of put yourself out there. And I like that, you got a lot of positive energy. So that's why I'm glad we're getting, because I don't know a whole lot about you except what you put out there. And so tell me, like, if somebody asks, like, who are you, man? When you're like, where are you from? Like, what brought you to where you are right now, man?
Right. Okay. Well, as far as like getting into running, I mean, really, I only did about 1 semester of track back in high school. Didn't like it at all. Yeah. And then it wasn't until after grad school, my wife was doing a Couch to 5K, and I thought, you know what? I've got this newborn daughter here, and I would like to be able to go and do things with her as she gets older. And I'm just in my mind picturing, I don't want to be this old man that is like, man, I'd really like to get on that ride with you at Disney World, and I'd like to be able to walk around the park with you, but I'm so out of shape that I just can't do that. I cannot physically do that. So in my mind, I'm picturing this happening if I don't do something to change my life and get more active and get in better shape. And plus, I was like, this is an activity that my wife and I can do together, and something that we can start doing as a whole family. So that's where things got started way back when. And it was about that same time that my parents were like, well, you ought to try out this Cherokee Nation program. They do this thing's called Wings, and they pay for all your race entries with these very specific races that they help out with. Yeah. And so I was like, well, yeah, I mean, and it's something that's open to the public. I mean, they're like, well, your wife, Courtney, she can sign up for it. You don't have to be Cherokee. You just have to live within the jurisdictional boundaries of the tribe. And so really getting into those 5Ks are kind of what got me started way back when. Yeah. And I was just like a lot of folks just saying, hey, I'm just going to go and try to finish one and see what happens. And then when I finished it, I was like, I wasn't that much further behind this age group award thing. And if I would have just gone a little bit faster, I might have been able to get one of those cool medals in third place.
Yeah.
So, that's kind of where the bug starts for a lot of people is just finishing, and then it moves to, just getting that age group award, and then they're like, I really, really want to win,
Yeah.
overall or something like that. But
Yeah.
that's how I got started in the whole thing, and somehow they did pay for a 10K race at one point back in there. I think it was like at the Fort Gibson 10K or something like that.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then I don't know where things changed. I think I did a half marathon. It was Keep Turkey Wild, and that was I guess it'd be my first trail race.
Yeah. Yeah.
And then somewhere in there, it just kind of skipped from that to a 50K.
Yeah. So you didn't do any, you hadn't done like a road marathon or anything like that?
No. Well, and just today, we were at one of these YMCA's up here in Oklahoma City, and somebody was like, "Oh, look at this! This is they've got this walking program thing, getting people ready for the Oklahoma City Memorial Marathon." And we were talking about it, and I was like, "Yeah, I mean, the idea is, you can train up to about 23 miles or so, and then usually the adrenaline will be enough to get you there on race day." And they're like, "Really? Is that how that works?" I was like, "I don't know. I've never done a marathon."
Yes, that's right. Yeah, that's awesome.
But yeah, it was really strange. I mean, my first road half marathon was Route 66 this past fall.
Oh, nice.
It was like, what? How did what? And it's like, it's happened
you found
multiple
the trails
times, but it's been at other races or on a training run, and it's just one step among many other steps along the route. So
yeah. Oh, that's awesome, man. Well, so you said you have to graduate school. So like, where'd you go to school, and what'd you get your degree in, man?
Yeah, so my degree, I went to school at University of Oklahoma up in Norman, got a degree in comparative religion, which is really kind of more an overview of various world religions. And I would say that is being taught from more of an agnostic point of view, more than anything. And then after that, I went to grad school down at Dallas Theological.
Oh, nice. Yeah.
And then, so that one was an emphasis on education. And so they get into, of course, your languages and different things like that, and exegesis and things of that nature. And what am I doing with that? Absolutely nothing related to religion.
Well, I've got a seminary degree, and I am teaching at church and stuff like that. But that's about, I'm not doing full time, and I've done the Greek and hadn't done Hebrew, but did a lot of Greek.
Right,
so
right.
Oh.
But interesting. Just asking about that whole journey, and I could say I've lived multiple sides of, if there are only two sides of that coin, of being conservative Christian to being atheist to being agnostic to being pluralist to all of those things in between. I've been somewhere in there. But, just seeing that a lot of times there is a huge disconnect, not just in religion itself, but in any philosophy or idea out there. A lot of us, we hold to these ideals, but when it comes to actually practicing those things, it's like there's a split there, and there's a disconnect between, I know that I should be exercising more if I want to be healthy, but am I really going to do that? No, I'm not. I know I should be, eating and drinking things that are healthier for me, but in practice, that's not happening. So, so that's kind of what I was looking at and saying, okay, how do we move people toward action? How can we stop talking about the ideas and say, hey, if we would just stop over analyzing the stuff and just put into practice the very few things that we know that we should be doing, I mean, that would get us a long way down the road. So that's kind of been more of my thing, is been like, hey, let's push the philosophy side. We got plenty of that stuff. What are you going to actually do? How are you going to influence people's lives to change their actions? And so that's kind of what more of the social media stuff is about. Yes, part of it's motivational and get people feeling good about themselves, feeling more positive about their outlook on life, but also trying to nail down and say, okay, but what are you going to do about it? What is your actionable step for today? How are you going to make the world a better place today? How are you going to make yourself better today? So that's kind of my shtick is pumping more positivity into social media because there is so much negative out there right now, and just saying, hey, let's turn everything on its head so that being fit, having adventures, and being positive is the norm rather than the abnorm.
Yeah, I like it, man. I like that. And it's because, and like you said, people, they know what they need to do. They need to start taking small action, like small steps. Take every positive decision is a vote for that person you want to be, and you take more of those steps, and before you know it, you become that positive person, that fit person, that smart person, or, encouraging person, whatever, and so that's good. We need that, man, because there's enough of the other garbage on social media, dude. So we need some positivity and people just trying to encourage others. And and the way I call it is, and from my perspective, I say God has put a lot of potential in everybody, and I'm mining that potential that's in me, and I want other people to do the same. Like I see people and I know you see the same thing. People have so much potential if they just act toward it, work toward it, just so thank you for encouraging people to mine that potential, man.
Yes. I mean, I know a lot of people look at, I guess you would say, pop culture figures out there in the athletic motivational world, and it's like, all y'all trying to be, put the name on it. You can probably think of a few people right off the top of your head. Everybody's trying to be so-and-so. Be like, if you would stop trying to be so-and-so and try to be the absolute best that you were designed to be, I mean, there's only one you. You have special, unique gifts, talents, abilities, and if you would mine those, then that is going to be way greater than you trying to be the off-brand of somebody else.
the off-brand, the great value. I want to be the great value Michael Jordan.
Yeah, exactly. You're never going to be Michael Jordan. You're just going to be the off-brand, the great value, whatever it is over there. But you can always be the name brand What's That's that good. Justin Bieber line where in one of his songs he's like, you don't need any mentions. You're your own brand, and so that's what I was asking my daughter the other day. I was like, Bryn, what is the Bryn brand? What is brand. David? What is the David brand out there? You don't need any mentions. What's David being at his best? He is the name brand, And I asked myself that same kind of question. Well, okay, you're asking your daughter that. Well, what are you about, Isaac? So
yeah.
So just be authentically you, the best you can be.
That's it. I like it, man. So you've got a wife, you got a daughter, right? Is that you just have one child?
Yep, just one child. She was born 1 pound 4 ounces.
Oh wow!
She was a micro preemie, very early, several months early, and so yes, we spent a significant amount of time in the NICU with her down in Dallas. Yeah.
No kidding. How old is she now?
She's 14 now.
Yeah. Oh man, that's awesome, dude. That's she's a miracle, man. She's a walking miracle.
She is. She's our miracle baby. Lots of things that could have definitely been very much different in all three of our lives.
Yeah.
But, we're really blessed.
Oh, that's awesome, dude. That's awesome. Yeah. Well, so as we kind of steer back to running a little bit, you post. So one of the things I saw you posting, you were training for Pumpkin Holler, and I think you were on the course, and you were doing like a 6 or like 8 hour day training, just seeing how far you could get walking. Is that right? Yeah. Is that what I remember that right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you just walked the whole day.
Yeah, pretty much. Well, and that's the comment that I get from a lot of people is they're like, it's just so long. I mean, yeah, you could do it that way with the walking, but it just takes so long.
Yeah. Well, and then you went and you did the Pumpkin Holler 100 and you
Yeah,
finished it walking.
yeah, yeah.
And
Finished the whole thing walking.
You did the actual race. You walked the whole time. You didn't run it. You just walked, right?
Yeah, just walked the entire time, you know.
And
And
your time was what was it? 26 something I saw or something like
it
that.
wasn't that good. I think it was around like 29 hours or something like that. You
Okay.
could
Okay.
probably
Yeah.
look it up. I don't know. Let me. We're
I have
both
it right
probably
here.
trying to
It was
beat each other
27.
to the ultra sign up records.
I already had you open right here. I had it open right here with my notes. 27:58. So that's
really.
Not, I mean, yeah.
Well, how
That's
about
good.
that?
Yeah, look at that. He's like, wait, I did better than I thought, man. I'm good.
Yeah.
So what made you decide to walk 100 miles? Was it because of an injury or you just
Yeah, it was because of an injury. So funny story on that one. So did the Washita 50 miler, the one that's over there at Pinnacle Mountain. You know, you get to scramble up the big rock stack at the very beginning, and it says welcome to the top. There you go.
Yeah.
So went and did that one, and then everything was fine. I did get a little bit loopy and dehydrated that day. It was quite a bit hotter than I think historically it had been in the past at that race, but everything was fine, you know. And it was a few days later that I was laying down in bed, and my allergies were getting to me pretty bad. And I sneezed, and whenever I sneezed and wrenched forward laying down, I just felt this stabbing pain in my back and like a little pop. And so, as I found out later, that was 2 herniated discs and a minor tear on one of those 2 discs. So,
okay,
the running doesn't do it. The running doesn't do it. It's the sneezing.
So okay, you could have made something up really cool, like you fell off Pinnacle Mountain, or
that would be a good story.
Yeah, you hurt your back sneezing. That's old people stuff, dude.
It is exactly.
Oh, dude, that's crazy. Man? Yeah. So what did you did you do therapy and stuff? You've been doing therapy to.
Well, okay, so that was hurting for quite a while, and really it started like several years ago. And I was pulling weeds a few years ago, felt something pop on my back, which is probably the first time I had a herniated disc. I didn't know that's what it was at the time. I just thought, hey, it's just kind of, pinched a nerve or something like that, which is basically what that pain is. You get a herniated disc and it's putting pressure on a nerve.
Yeah.
But anyway, that had kind of like recurred every several months, and it may be really painful for, I don't know, anywhere from 2 weeks to 1 month while I'm hobbling around like a very out of shape elderly person. And so this was the worst case it had been up till that point, and it wasn't until it got that bad that I actually went and had, x-rays and some additional tests done, and they're like, herniated discs and a tear. There you go. Do you want a referral? Man. Yes, I do. Please. Thank you. And then, so go into physical therapy, and they're like, okay, let's do some tests. Let's check your range of motion. Just bend down and touch your toes. And I was just like, that's it.
It's a slight lean forward.
That's all you got, They're like, no, but really. And I was like, I'm being serious. You think I'm joking here? I was like, I have not stretched from running in the past decade or whatever, because every time I tried that, it made me feel like I had a pulled hamstring. And I was like, why would I stretch before I run if I feel like I've got a pulled hamstring? So I just never stretched for the past decade. So anyway, they gave me a set of stretches, started doing that several months. And at that point, I don't know if it was the stretching that started contributing to my back healing up, or if it was just simply time by itself being multiple months out. But I just basically started walking a little bit more, and it would be very, very painful getting in and out of a car, sitting down, standing up. Any kind of transition from sitting to standing or whatever was really, really painful. And so then I got to where, hey, it's not hurting as much to do that transition. So I'm going to start walking at a casual pace. And then it was just walking a little bit faster and a little bit faster. But it never got to the point of saying, hey, let me try to speed walk this stuff. I was just trying to spend more time on my feet.
Yeah.
And so I would just go out and just walk for 4 hours a day, 6 hours here, 8 hours there. Just doing nothing but just walking around, Lake Vine Trail System on those trails. And I would just walk back and forth all over the place.
Yeah.
And just knowing, hey, a lot of the ultra stuff really is about just time on your feet.
Yeah.
Just standing up, moving around. That's why people in manual labor jobs and people in like the medical field that are always on their feet moving tend to do fairly well in the ultras. They're used to that stuff.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's kind of what led into walking. And I did notice that there's a lot of people that would say, I'm a failure because I walked, well, I did such and such marathon, but but I walked, it doesn't really count because I stopped and I walked,
Yeah.
and they're just shaking their heads like I'm a failure, and me personally, I didn't feel insulted by any of that, but I was like, but there's a lot of people out there who probably do feel insulted that people are saying just walking, it's not a real workout, but I just walked, it's don't build me up. I just walked, it's not real. Or people feeling like they themselves are a failure, that they didn't do their best, or that they are not an athlete, or that they're not worthy to be called a marathon finisher, a 50K finisher, a 100-mile finisher, because, well, oh no, I walked, it's the curse. I walked. But so anyway, that started for me to kind of change my angle in that I was wanting other people to feel more accepted and remove a lot of that stigma from walking, so that more people out there would feel like, hey, I don't have to show up already being fixed. I don't have to train by myself, look perfect, look like the image that the media puts out there of this is what a runner looks like. This is what a runner dresses like. This is how they act. This is where they go. This is what the process is. Instead, just saying, hey, just come as you are. Wherever you're at, come where you are. You're going to be loved and accepted here. You can walk. You can power walk, you can power hike it, whatever you want to call it. Because in a lot of cases, as I found, it's all about your average pace. So if you walk the whole thing and your average pace is faster than the person that ran the whole thing, then what's the difference?
That's right. Yeah, because if you look at a lot of average paces, they'll run and then they'll end up death marching for hours and hours and end up with a average pace of 16, 17 minutes, and that's you can walk it faster than that.
Right, exactly. So that's for me. It's a bad situation that it happened with the discs in my back, but I will say it has been one of the biggest blessings having that experience, using that thing that could have destroyed me, something that I could have used against myself and let that destroy me, or I could take that experience and say there's a lot of other people with back problems, with various kinds of medical problems, physical problems, and they need to be reached out to as well. A lot of us are in the same boat, and how can I use this situation to help a lot more people? And so I feel like there's been a lot of good that has come from it. I've had multiple people come up and just say, hey, thank you so much for, putting that out there. And I would not be doing what I am doing right now. I would not be participating in events or working out if you hadn't put that content out there about walking, and just freeing me to be able to do that and to feel included.
No, that's fantastic. And there are a lot of people who just, it's hard to just get up and run. And it's people who haven't, but they're inspired, will get up and walk. And I've always said, because I've had knee surgeries and all kind of stuff. And when you can't do what you want, you do what you can. And, you know, you couldn't run. So you're like, I'm going to walk. And then so there's a, you know, the lesson there too. You walk until you can run if you want to, you know?
That's right.
Yeah.
That's exactly right.
Well, how's your back now, man? How's it doing? Is it?
Oh, it feels great. It feels wonderful.
Good. No,
but,
good.
I told myself I'm giving myself plenty of time for that to heal up. Just reading a lot of material out there. Yes, cartilage takes a while.
Yeah.
You know, different things like that can take quite a while. So I've given myself quite a bit of time. So that was last April, and it was just this past week that I finally did a slight bit of jogging, maybe just like a quarter of a mile, maybe half a mile, just barely even picking my feet up off the ground, and doing very low impact, very slow, easy jogging. And it was glorious. I was just like, a lot of people worry about losing fitness, and it's like, you know what? You're not an elite level athlete, so you don't have anything to worry about. So So it's like, okay, so you're going to lose your 14-minute mile running pace, and it's going to go to 14 and a half. Man, that's got to really be wearing on you emotionally.
Well, you know, and I tell people, you know, our bodies are so amazing that, you know, if you know, especially got people that have run a while and then they get an injury and they have to lay up, man, your first few runs might be a little tough, or, you know, when you get back at it, you know, but your body remembers, and it just starts clicking. And I've been there, you know, when your body it remembers, and before you know it, you're doing what you did before, you know. So just be patient.
Well, I remember in the time, in the past, I went out and did the White Rock 50K multiple times. And there's just one year that mentally my brain just broke down, and I was like, I never want to do this again, except for it lasted longer than the typical 1 week, and then you sign up for another one. It was a solid 9 months of, I have no desire to run whatsoever.
Really?
There's no injuries involved. I'm just not running. And then it was just like one day I was like, okay, I think it's time. I think I'm ready to start doing some running again. And I'll tell you, it wasn't very much long after that, after taking 9 months off, I had a 5K PR. I finally went sub 20-minute 5K. And I was like, man, I need to take 9 months off more often, you know?
Yeah.
So
your body just needs to rest.
Yeah, exactly. So this time around, you know, having the back injury, it didn't wear on me at all, and I was just like, well, it worked out really well last time. Who knows what's going to happen this time around, because I'm taking even more time off.
Yeah.
But, I mean, it's just like, and you know this perfectly well, that a lot of times it has more to do with the mental side of training that has more control over the rest of your body. So still being able to go out there and spend the long hours of the 20, 28, 29, whatever it is, hours walking the entire course and saying, I'm still moving, I'm still going and everything. That's still all training, even though the rest of my body isn't training. And to be able to get through the Outlaw 100, which has a crazy high DNF rate, and a lot of people tote that as one of the most difficult 100-milers out there, especially in Oklahoma. I was like, whenever I got to 100 miles at that one, I felt fantastic. And I was like, I don't know what everybody is whining about, because I had a great time. It wasn't until I got past that 100 miles, like several miles past that, it was just like that. Everything snapped, and it was just like, but until that point, it was the easiest 100 miles out of all the 100-mile races that I've done. And I think that has more to do with just positive attitude, going out there, trying to encourage people and just keep moving. And I think that had a lot more to do with just the mindset that I had going into it.
Well, and you did it. And that, I've heard it's notorious that the race, you know, and I think a lot of people, when you're trying to run it, because it's so rocky and all that and technical, but you finished in sub 30 hours, 29:55. And there are people who go a lot longer than that, trying to run it, you know? But what you said about mindset. So, you know, and I've shared before on the podcast, when I DNF'd Moab, it's because I was physically sick, and I was probably running too hard. I had trained a lot, and my mindset was race, run hard, get it done, you know? And when I went back, my mindset was I was going to run and stuff, but I didn't put any pressure on myself. I'm going to embrace it. I'm going to take in the moment. I'm going to be in the moment where I am. And, it was a totally different experience. Of course, I didn't end up puking everywhere, but and it was about gratitude and thankfulness. And so I would acknowledge to my wife, like, man, that section was hard. Like, it was really hard, the climbs and all that. And then I'm like, and this next one's going to be hard too, but I'm good. I'm going to take a nap. So, and it just mindset. It was just a different my training wasn't nearly as much as it was the previous time I trained pretty hard, but not nearly as hard. Wasn't, wasn't as fit, but I got it done, and I had a blast,
Yeah. The mindset really does. It makes a huge difference. And I know just going into races with that kind of same attitude of I'm just going to see what happens, or almost in a sense respecting the race a lot more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I know I DNF'd the Pumpkin Holler, had some really bad plantar fasciitis that flared up at like mile 62 and hobbled in like the last 8 miles of it,
Yeah.
And that one was because I went out too hard and too confident in myself. And then going to Habanero, where I was like, that race messes people up, man. That one.
Really? I haven't done that one.
That one is a very, very difficult race with a very high DNF rate. It's like only 1 out of 3 are going to finish that thing. And it went up this year with the DNF rates were even higher. So, but going into that one being very respectful of the heat, and knowing that this is a very, very difficult race, I think that's probably the reason why that one got done, was because I feared and respected that one so much that I was like, I have to take it easy. There's no possible way for me to try to place or rank. I just need to finish this thing in under 30 hours,
Yeah. Just get it done.
Whereas, Outlaw, I was like, it's going to be hard, but I've been out there before and I'm just going to go into it positive and everything. I really did not train hardly at any for the Outlaw. I really didn't. I mean,
that's wild.
That's been the beauty of the whole walking thing is it's like, experimenting with it and saying, I have no idea. There's not a lot of information that I came across about people who are training to walk 100 miles. There's a lot of stuff out there on people trying to train. And, well, how do you peak? Then how much recovery do you need beforehand? And then, all this kind of stuff. How do you taper for your run? And I was like, I have no idea for the walking stuff. No idea whatsoever.
Yeah.
But I knew from going out there, and I'd spend, 8 hours walking around doing different paces, just kind of messing around sometimes out there at the trails at Lake Bayan. And I'd be like, okay, so I did 8 hours yesterday on Saturday, and I wake up on Sunday and I'm like, I don't feel like I even did anything. The muscles aren't sore. I'm not tired. I feel great. Well, I guess I'll go out for another 5 hours. Hey, Courtney, I'm going to be out here a little bit longer. I still got some water and I feel great,
Yeah, that's awesome.
I mean, if you think about it, when you're running, your stomach is sloshing all over the place. It makes it really difficult to take in calories. You add in heat on top of that, so your blood is trying to cool your body off and keep you from cooking yourself.
Yep.
And so when you are moving at a lower heart rate, your stomach's not sloshing around. You can absorb a lot more hydration and a lot more calories than when you're running. So rather than when we're running at a higher performance and we cannot get those calories in, then the entire duration of that event, of that race, we're going further and further and further in the hole. No matter how much you think that you are getting enough calories in, you're barfing it out or you're absorbing part of it, but you're really burning it off faster than you can dump it back in. With the speed walking, you're absorbing the entire time. So if your body never goes in the deficit with the hydration or the calories, then there's really a non-existent recovery period. There's no, the workout's over. Now I need to eat a whole bunch of protein and this many carbs and I need to refuel. It's like, no, I've been refueling the entire time. You know, there's no need for that. There is no peak. And the same thing with the training, because if you go out and you do a whole lot of speed walking and you just get used to that, or just a regular steady pace, it doesn't have to be booking it at like 12-minute mile walking pace. But if you're out there doing that and your muscles never get sore and you never get dehydrated and you stay with enough calories and you're feeling great the next day, how in the world are you going to peak in your training with walking? There is no peak. You just keep doing it. You just do it. You know. So that has been an amazing discovery, and which has kind of led me to the question of, well, Isaac, is there a case in which you really do want to go back to running? Why would you go back to running when you feel so great during the event, and after the event you don't feel sore for multiple days? You don't have your brain all fried and going as crazy as early, I should say. So why would you go back to that? And somebody was asking me, well, in what situation would cause you to decide to run a race? And I was like, there's really not any races that I can think of that are tempting enough for me to risk injuring my back again, or for me to say, man, the cutoff on that is so narrow that I would be forced to run that. Knowing that a lot of 100-milers, they've got usually about a 30-hour cutoff. Some of them 40, some 48, whatever it may happen to be. And which now I know you can walk that.
You can do it. I'm in. I got it.
Just
got to keep moving.
I've done more than one of those. I can do it. So I don't know which race, if somebody were to come up and say, Isaac, we're offering this race to you. It's a free entry, free ticket in. Would I even want to take that? If I had to run it. And I'm like, okay, you have a 24-hour cutoff for this 100-miler. Well, I almost did 100 miles walking at Sunset in Arkansas. That would be challenging. But I would think about it. It would just have to be something really specific, really epic for me to want to go back into that. Who knows? I may try it. But when it comes down to it, the awards, the medals, they're all in my closet in a cardboard box. I don't look at them. They're not, and that's just because I'm like, I don't have time to put up one of those shower curtains on the wall, I don't have time for that, and I look back at a lot of races where I did podium, and I'm like, I don't remember my finish time. I don't remember exactly what place I got. I don't even remember very much of the course or the experience. But what I do remember over the years are the people that I met at those races, the conversations that we had, the relationships that were formed there, and just enjoying the course, enjoying the people, enjoying the experience itself. And those are the things that I would say are on my trophy rack, or on my medal rack, or in my trophy case. It's not the trophy case or the medal rack in the closet, because it's all a cardboard box. But I would say that my trophy rack is all of the people that have been influenced just in those conversations over the years. People that I could point to and say, this person has started moving their life in a more positive direction. They're taking on bigger challenges. That to me is a win. And that I would say it's probably a win in your book too, David, to say, these people are on my trophy rack. These are people that started listening to the podcast, following my adventures on social media, and they decided they were going to go out and do something epic. They decided they were going to start doing this because, hey, if David can do it, surely I can do it. If Isaac can do it, surely I can do it.
I love that.
So, yeah.
And that's what I tell people all the time. Oh, I could never do that. Yeah, you could. Just got to want to. You just got to want it, and I love that when people start believing in themselves, and like they'll call me up and ask about coaching or something. I'm like, let's do it. Let's go. Let's let's get it.
Right.
I love that. So yeah, I think you answered one of the questions I was going to ask, because when you're out there. So I had to say, I was watching your video of a snake run, and you had a montage of things going on, and I was laughing because you talked about, you said something about eating, and you walk in and you were like, when you walk in, you can just eat, and I don't know what you were eating. It was some protein or something.
Yeah.
But most of the time you were, other runners are running, they're passing you, and you're just like, go, just encouraging them, and being outward focused. And so, like, I don't know, it almost, when you're taking your time, you have time to be in the moment, take it in, and be outward focused and encourage others. I think that's pretty huge,
Right. Yeah, it's funny that you mentioned that. One of my running buddies, his wife was like, does Isaac really actually do any running? I mean, all I ever see is he's always eating stuff. I think he just goes out to these races and eats the whole time. He doesn't do any exercise.
That's a good thing. That's good.
Which I was like, well, that's one of my favorite parts. That's why you do the race.
Well, like
the aid stations.
Yeah. Ultras are eating contests with a little bit of running in between, or for you, they're eating contests with a little bit of walking in between. Or a lot of walking in between.
That's right. But yeah, it does. It lends itself to being able to encourage people as they're going past, and just cheering people on. That's why I like that snake run course.
Yeah.
It's just because there's so many parts of the course that have hairpin turns where it doubles back on itself and gets really close, where you can see 2 or 3 layers of people down through the trees, and you're like, hey, go Andrea, woo!
I love that. I love that.
Just cheering people on, So that's why I like the snake run. It's really good for encouraging people, pumping people up and everything like that. And really, that's what it comes down to. Is like, I mean, Isaac could probably get in people's heads and play that whole mental game to mentally destroy them and break them down. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I know how to do that. It's not that hard.
Right.
But whenever you're looking at what is the best for the whole of everyone participating in this race, or for that matter, you take it bigger and broader and saying, what is the best thing for all of humanity in this case? Is it really going to better everyone here if I start picking people off and mentally getting in their head, trying to get them to drop and slow down just for what? So I can get a medal, so I can place higher, so that I can throw that in the closet and forget about it later? Be like, or is the real emphasis that I need to say, hey, man, this outlaw race has a really high DNF rate. I need you to stay in this. I need you to stay in this race because I need you to be there for me tonight and go with me out there. I remember doing that at, the Sunset 24-hour race over in Arkansas. And just 1 mile loops, 24-hour limit. And you're going asphalt around the thing. Love that thing. It was an amazing race. I had a great time.
Really?
For free. It's a free race.
Really? I haven't heard of that one. I have to check that out.
Yeah, you do need to check that out. It's the weekend right after Thanksgiving. So really, if you got a bunch of leftover pumpkin pie or apple pie or whatever else, I figured just bring it all out there, whatever.
Chow down,
but
bro.
that was my thing, was saying, hey, in order for me to push myself to keep going, knowing that if other people in the lead start dropping out, I'm going to be tempted to drop out 1 lap after they finish.
Yeah.
So if I really do want to get in 100 miles in 24 hours, I don't want this guy to drop out at 74 miles. I'm going to be encouraging him to go as far as he possibly can, because I want to be holding on to his coattail and saying, I have to stay up with this guy, so I'm going to keep going. Or in a lot of cases, I really got to stay up with this gal, because the gals are putting the hurts on the guys in these really long courses. You know that. I mean, they're dominating out there. But yeah, anyway, all that to say, we really do. We need each other in community to make each other stronger. And again, that's why I like Snake Run. A lot of these other things is being able to encourage other people, have them get stronger so that they in turn are going to make me stronger.
Yeah. That's
Yeah.
one of the beautiful things. Like, and I've made great friends on the trail like when I ran Love It, I met, anyway, meeting friends and, and sometimes we are racing each other. Like, I want to beat him. He wants to beat me, but we're cool. And if he beats me, I'm like, good job, dude. I pushed him to do his best or he pushed me to do my best, cause he was on my heels, but it's let's do it together, or if I have somebody I'm racing against, if they DNF, I don't like that, like, come on, let's everybody finish, even if you don't win or whatever. And so, I like that. That's a big part of your why, because they say you got to get your why. And some of our whys are, we want to push ourselves. We want to be the best we can be. And whatever that is, whether that's time or distance, but part of your why is encouraging others. And I think that helps you. I know when you're an encourager to others, because I do that, it helps you in your race. We help each other when we're positive, when we're encouraging one another, when we all want to do our best. And I love in ultra running, if somebody's having a tough time, nobody just runs by and leaves that like, hey, are you okay? You need something? You need salt tabs? You need goo? I have stuff. What do you need? Can I help you? You need some water? I've had people do it for me. I've done it for others. But that's what we do. It's great.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I love that whole atmosphere, that very community feel to it for sure, and I'd say, one of the people that I think is the best at doing this as far as the whole team mentality, John Bloodworth is one of these guys that I've met just recently. And, he has been very vocal and very upfront about, my goal is to get everyone on my team to finish. It doesn't matter as much if I personally finish, but my main goal is to get everyone on my team to their goal of whatever their distance is. And if not everybody makes that goal, then I did not complete my mission. I did not win in that sense. And I love that. I love that he is going that far to say, yeah, part of it is me pushing me, but my main goal is to bring other people with me, to make other people stronger, and to help them achieve their goals. I love that.
Cool. That's cool. Yeah. So, we're talking about pushing each other, and I'm thinking of you, thinking of you're doing this, walking thing, but you do some fast walking and stuff, man. Have you thought about those last man standing races? Yes. Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Because that's what those are about. Like, let's see how far we can go. And everybody needs to keep going for you to keep going. That would be fantastic, dude.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, and I really do enjoy the time-based format, which is totally different than the last person standing style races. But and that's where originally with my whole Hilltop Run, those were originally time-based, saying, well, I'm already going to be out there training. I plan on training for this many hours. Let's just say whoever gets the most laps within this amount of hours, which is the same kind of format as the Snake Run. It's the same format as the Sunset 24-hour race. It's whoever gets the most laps within that amount of time. And it was really interesting trying to set up a race like that, because it was completely foreign to a lot of people. It's just like, wait, I don't understand. How does that even work? They couldn't wrap their minds around there being no finish line at a certain distance. That it was based on, hey, whatever you want to do, you're going to push yourself hard to do as many as possible until we say stop at this time. I mean, it's like, I don't know why it was so foreign to people, but knowing that my experience at the Sunset 24-hour race seemed to be experiencing that to the longest degree of saying, there is no set distance. You're going to keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going. And I felt like I did really, really well at that. And so I feel like the last person standing style event could be something that I would do fairly well at. It's also one that I would be the most tempted to. It's the
Jog.
type of event that I would be. Well, it would be I would be very highly tempted to go dark on that and to try to break people down.
Oh, okay. I got you. I got you.
You know,
Well,
and that to me,
yeah.
would probably be more of the challenge than
Yeah.
doing the actual event and doing the miles. In fact, I know it would
Yeah.
no longer become the challenge of continuing to do the miles. That would, in my opinion, be the easy part of it. The most
Yeah.
difficult part would be, I'm starting to get tired. I need to start picking these people off. And so
Yeah.
let's play some head games here and start making people
Yeah.
feel horrible so that they quit, so that I can quit. You know,
Yeah.
that is
Yeah.
what the biggest temptation would be. But I feel like if I were to be a win
like it.
for me, a win
Go
for me
dark.
at one of those events would be saying, no, we're gonna stay in it together. We're gonna make it to where we've got to call into work and ask for additional days off. This is how long this thing is going.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that would be interesting. And I know everybody's been like, hey, Isaac, why don't you do Eternal Damnation at Hell's Creek? You know, that's what everybody keeps pushing. And I was like, there's a pretty big range on what the top mileage is on that. Have you looked at that one?
I hadn't looked at that one. No.
I
know about it, but I hadn't looked at the results. No.
Yeah, it seems like 2 years ago or something. It was like less than 100 miles, and then last year it was like 120 something, or it was something really big. Where I was like, that's a big gap in there. You could win with 70 something miles, or you could have to go to 130, 140 or something like that.
Oh yeah, look at that. All right, yeah. Okay.
Which there's only a few spots left, you know, but yeah, maybe one of these days I would try one of those out, or maybe even put something like that on myself with a few extra twists in there. That would make things psychologically interesting for people.
Yeah. I what I like, and so when I'm looking over the scape of like elites and stuff, one of the people I like a lot because of her attitude is Courtney DeWalter, because she kind of embodies the game of or like, let's. So I met her at the Tahoe 200, and and was talking to her after, and she's like, she was finished. She had already bathed and everything else by the time I got there, but she was asking me about my race, and how I did. And so I was asking her what was next for her. And her big thing was like, like backyard and some other stuff. And like, let's see how far we can go, like, let's push each other. And she's done a bunch of that, like in those races. And there's still that, you say go dark, and that just cracks me up, but there's still that mind game in there a little bit. But she also is like, but we're pushing each other too. Like, I need you to keep going so I can go, and let's see how far we can go. And she's done that. And so I kind of like that. There's still the competition, but there's also like, let's push each other, man. Let's drive each other. But she stays positive, she's a positive person. And I don't know.
Yeah.
I really like that, that competition, drive, but also encouragement,
Yes, exactly. Well, and it's interesting that you bring that up. I mean, Courtney is just an amazing athlete out there, altogether. And I think there are a lot of other female athletes out there as well, but there are a lot of things in life that are not equal opportunities for all genders out there, and really when it comes down, even as far as, talking about different social classes and everything that we still have. And it's like, well, you're not the fastest, not in reference to Courtney Walter, just in general. Yeah. You're not the fastest person out there. You are the fastest person who has expendable income, who has that time off, who happens to be this very, very small percentage of people in the global population. You're the fastest of those people.
Yeah.
The real fast people are probably out there laying brick on Saturday while you're over here at a race thinking you're really fast.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But anyway, back to the whole gender thing. That's what I get really, really excited about whenever I see Courtney winning, whenever I see Nicole Lofton out there just really blowing it up and doing amazing things out there.
Crushing it.
And that goes back to the whole thing about, us becoming a better human race. Whenever we can break down those mental barriers that have told us that this is what this section of people is capable of, and this is what is reserved for this group of people over here.
Yeah.
Once we can eliminate that and say, hey, look, all human beings are capable of amazing mental and physical feats.
Yes.
That is when the human race is going to start moving forward mentally and physically, when we remove those barriers, put everybody on that equal playing field and say, now we're going to see what the human race can do. That's what's exciting to me, is starting to see a little bit more of that stuff even out there. That's where I get excited about Courtney. I get excited about Nicole. I mean, I'm always like, yeah, get them. Go get them.
Yeah, that's right. Oh, Nicole at Traveler this past year, man, I was just like, man, and she almost caught. I coached Chad Hetrick, and she almost caught him at the end. And I was like, dude, she almost got you. And he's like, she's a beast, man. I was like, I know.
Yes,
that was
for
fantastic,
sure.
man.
For sure, man.
You know what you just said, what you were just talking about. About people who people that have talent and never get a chance to never discover it. I always think about that when I'm watching like American Idol, or there's somebody who can really sing, and like how many people have never and that's just another example. I've never had an opportunity to sing, never had somebody listen to them, or, they never took choir in school, but they probably could just knock the blocks off, just wail and sing better than Adele or better than Mariah Carey or whoever. Take your pick, and they never sang. They just never did it. Never got discovered. Never,
Yeah.
And there's probably same thing with running, there's probably a ton of people who just never had the opportunity, never raced, never got pushed, or, never got inspired, but the capabilities in them to do it. And so, man, that's why when people want to try things, and no, let's go for it. Go for it. Do it. If you're listening right now and you're like, should I sign up for that race? Yeah, probably so. Go for it. Or should you try a distance? And you don't have to sign up for a race. You can just go find a trail and run. See how far you can go. Just do it. Or walk.
Exactly.
Or walk.
Exactly. That's right. That's right. And I mean, and it's probably a lot of people have had a negative experience in their past where they were told, you're a klutz, you're Butterfingers, you're not very fast, you're the last one that gets picked, I didn't get picked until the very last a lot growing up in whatever kind of playground activities or whatever else. And so, I mean, I was decent. I was all right at some stuff, but I mean, I could have been very easily one of those folks that just never tried it if it was not for my wife, Courtney, saying, I'm going to do Couch to 5K, I would not be talking with people, going to events, encouraging people. I would not have tried any of this stuff. I would have been one of those undiscoverables on the side that had just, I tried it out in high school and I didn't like it, I'm not going to do it again. So.
Yeah. Well, I need to make sure I don't forget this, because you mentioned it. You mentioned your Hilltop Run. Talk a little bit about that. And are you doing it again next year? You're gonna host the race again? All right. Yeah. Talk about that. Let people know how to find that.
Yeah. So that's just runsignup.com/Hilltop. And again, just a testimony to the amazing community that we've got out there. I'm talking about the locals in Vian, law enforcement, the town, all the local businesses. All of them have been really supportive of the whole thing. But just talking about the run community out there, where, I mean, the whole thing was, like I was alluding to earlier, I was just going out there and training. I mean, originally I was like, I need to find a hill where I can get some elevation training because I want to do this outlaw race. And knowing that outlaw has a lot of elevation and everything, I was like, okay, yeah, I could go out there and, you know, at least that one I don't have to worry about traffic. I can just go up and down that thing. You know, single track trail out there at Vian, single track trail mostly out there at Outlaw. That's what I'll use to train on.
Yeah.
And then I was like, well, if I'm out there already and I've got all my aid station stuff in my car, I could just say, hey, this is where I'm going to be at, people. Anybody else want to come out and grab a few laps with me?
Yeah.
And, you know, it was just a few more people. And it was, hey, you know, a cardboard box, you know. I just took a cardboard, chopped a big chunk out of it, draw a grid on it, said, put your name up there and, you know, put a check mark every time you go around this loop, you know. That's how it all started, you know.
Yeah,
There's just a few more people and a few more people. And then, so it started out as just training runs and just saying, hey, come with me. I'm inviting you. Come with me and do this, and just opening it up. And you never know what is going to happen until you actually just invite that one other person, where that is going to lead to, you know, or just thinking outside of yourself and saying, how can I help somebody else? How could I invite somebody else along? But that's how that all started. And then eventually, of course, they were like, can we turn this into like a legit race with medals and chip timing and stuff? And I was like, guys, you're going to turn this into a lot of work for me. But yes, I will do it. You know, I'll do it because y'all are interested in doing this. I'm going to do it for y'all. Y'all are interested in it. Sure. Why not? It's going to be a big headache, but I'm going to do it.
You guys are worth it.
Yeah, you guys are worth it, you know. But, you know, now that I'm into it, I really do enjoy it, and just having a lot of the positive feedback about, you know, I think about Megan Morgan that was out there saying, I know you're tired, Isaac, and you're feeling like it's not worth it, but it's worth it. Look at everybody having a good time out here.
Nice.
It's worth it, you know. By the way, you're going to have this again next year, right? So, so it's just been amazing seeing people come out of that, and just the support from other race directors out there in the community. I mean, you would think in like the business world, you'd be like, no, I got to protect my own, you know, don't help anybody else out or whatever. But I remember talking with Kathy Bratton over there at Runner's World Tulsa, and she's like, you keep putting on these training runs. You got people saying they want a race, an official race. You need to just do it, because you're putting a ton of time into all the same resources you are for these training runs. And she's like, you just need to go for it. Just go for it, Isaac. You can do it. It'll work. Don't worry about, you know, the financial situation. Just do it. You know,
just do it.
I'm like,
that's awesome.
Okay. But yeah, sure enough, she's like, if you do it, you're going to have way more people than with your training runs. And sure enough, you know, it went from like 50 people at the training run to the next year. I was like, guys, I hate to do this, but yeah, if you want medals, they do cost money. If you want chip not timing, it does cost money. Yeah. I was like, I'm sorry, but I got to start charging you if you want to do something like this, what you have asked for. And wouldn't you know it, there's like 100 people that did it.
Yeah, that's great. That's awesome.
Go figure. I mean, it's free. They don't want to do it. You charge them money, and now they do want to do it, I guess. But it makes sense from the standpoint of, if you as a race director are not willing to make that commitment to deliver on your side, then why should you expect a participant to want to engage and complete that contract with you as a participant? There's no skin in the game from either one. So it makes a lot more sense on why that actually happens that way. Yeah. But again, you know, Kathy and all these other race directors, I mean, we're talking about Kathy over there. We're talking about Angie with the Greenleaf series. Yeah. Tommy Brennan and Alicia Campbell over there with Outlaw, you know, Alex Gramblin. A lot of these other race directors have all been really encouraging, supportive, giving advice, you know, helping out with cross-promoting between a lot of our races, rather than being like, we got to protect our own, you know, our own piece of the pie. It's like, no, we go and we volunteer at each other's races. Mm-hmm. We all help out. And what does that do? That makes every one of our races even better. Because instead of me saying, oh, no, you only want to come to Hilltop, you're like, no, let me tell you, you want to be over at the Snake Run next Sunday.
Yeah, that's right.
And then let me tell you about some other races. You haven't heard about the Outlaw Series? But there were so many people this year. I think, well, in last year it was like 100 people. This year it was like 194. We probably had about 240 that signed up, but then a bunch of them deferred and then just a bunch of no-shows. So for it to double every year, I figure that's fairly good.
Yeah.
But just a lot of those people, and opening it up to saying this isn't the Lake Vian Hilltop Run. It's still branded that way, but we're trying to get away from that and just say Hilltop, because we had a bunch of people that have never done an athletic event, period. Have never done an athletic event, period, in their life, showing up to do this one because they can walk, they can hike, they can run. Everybody is accepted in there, and it's got a really generous cutoff time. So of course you got a Jennifer Dollarhide over there saying, "Hey everybody, he's giving us 15 hours to do a half marathon. You can walk that thing backwards."
Yeah. Yeah.
And so
that's great.
That's where it was so amazing, just being open and saying all people are included in this, everybody coming together. And because there were so many people that were new to this kind of event, having those other races, those other race directors, they're volunteering, helping, being supportive, being able to say, if you had a good time this week, you need to come out to this one over here.
Yeah.
You need to go and volunteer. If you're volunteering at this one, you need to go and volunteer at that one too, because that's also a good experience. Yeah. So I'm really, really excited about the partnerships that we've got going.
I love that.
Just between a lot of the other races out there, and that we are moving people from inactivity into a whole new world, a new family, a new community that's going to keep them active well into, our oldest person there was like 80 years old, and our youngest person was 5 years old.
That's
so
great.
A 5-year-old completing a 4-miler and an 8-year-old that's completing like 4 miles, half marathon, whatever it may happen to be. That's a pretty good range, but we know we can do better.
Yeah, that's great. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
Well, Isaac, so we've talked about all these things you've done and stuff. What's next for you, man? What's next race wise? What are you walking next?
What am I walking at? Well, I know I'm signed up for the Lake McMurtry 100K.
Yeah,
really excited about that, because a lot of the folks that were at Hilltop are going to be out there at that one as well.
It's a
I'm
great
like,
race.
Hey, come out to this one, step it up on your distance. You need to be training for that 100-miler Hilltop next year, so you need to do some of these races. Get ready for it.
Nice.
I know that one's coming up, and then I just had a revelation just yesterday, and I was like, wait, I've got to help out at this race in Stillwell. And so in my mind, I was like, I can't go and do Flower Moon because that's on the same day. And then I was like, wait a minute. That's that race that has those way, way staggered start times. Like, I think like the 50-miler starts at 6 a.m. and then you got the marathon at noon. And then like the half marathon at 2 or something like that. I was like, I can totally do 2 races on the same day. Nice. It's just a matter. It just depends on what's going on with my family, because I've got to balance a lot of that stuff out and say, hey, you're trading time there. You got to, pick and choose. You can't be everywhere at once. You can try, but you're going to regret it later, and sleep is going to have to catch up with you. But yeah, hopefully everything works out. I'd really like to go and do Flower Moon. I had a good time aid stationing with my daughter out there last year. Yeah. And that would be really cool to be able to go back there and try that one out. So
nice.
Yeah, I've got those. But as far as the whole walking thing, I'm like, do I need to train for any upcoming races? Yeah.
just show up. Just go.
If I can just show up with hardly any training for the Outlaw 100-miler and knock that out and feel great. I figure I'm pretty good to go out and just, I mean, if it were tomorrow, yeah, sign me up. I could do 100-miler tomorrow, you know.
Nice.
It just works out when you walk it out that way and stay hydrated and fueled. But I'll tell you, there have been training runs that are only 3 hours long, and I'm like, oh my gosh, I feel horrible after. That was like worse than Outlaw because I didn't drink anything and I didn't eat anything.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel worse.
Nice,
So it all
nice.
just depends on what you do with it, you know.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's what I've got coming up. There are a whole slew of races that I would love to do, but there's only so much time, you know.
Yeah. I know exactly what you mean. I got a long list, but we'll get to what we can.
Yeah.
Well, man, keep it up, dude, and keep doing the videos at the races. I love watching it. I love keep encouraging, keep doing exactly what you're doing, man, and being an encourager. We need more positivity, and so I'll be watching, man, and a lot of others will be too.
All right. Well, hey, I appreciate you inviting me on, and I appreciate all the resources that you put into this and all the positive ideas that you're getting out there to everybody else. It really does. It takes the community of all kinds of runners, walkers, people from different fitness fields coming together and promoting that positive lifestyle that's going to keep people healthy, mentally and physically moving forward. Yeah.
100%, man. Hey, thanks for joining me, brother. Good to get to know you.
All right. We'll talk to you later.
Talk to you later.